Hi everyone, this is Murupi speaking. I just want to take you through to question 1, paper 1. Guys, every time when you answer question 1, the structure remains being the same. And the question is about 24 marks. Now that marks to be 8% of the total examination. So guys, I just want to take you through to this question. When you solve for x, there are several methods of solving for x. The first is by taking out the common factor and then factorization, and then the next one is by quadratic formula, and then by squaring both sides or finding the square roots of both sides. And when it comes to inequalities, the first thing that you need to do is to find the critical values, that is by ignoring the inequality sign and put in equal sign to find the critical values. Thereafter, number 2, sketch the shape of the graph. If your a is greater than 0, your graph will be concave up, and if it's less than 0, that is negative, it will be concave down. So the last step is to draw the solution, that is by graphical representation. Now I just want to go through the solutions. Let's start first with 1.1, that is question 1.1. It says x squared minus 4x plus 3 equals 0. If you don't know how to factorize, guys, you need to use quadratic formula. Now, I just want to show you this. When you factorize, the option number 1 is to factorize. And when you factorize, what you need to do is find the factors of x squared. That will be x and x. And then the factors of 3 is 3 and 1. And what you do, you look at the sign of the constant. It's positive. What does it tell you? It tells you that the signs should be the same here, and that should be the sign of the middle term. Now we put in minus and minus. Now therefore the factors are x minus 3 and x minus 1. Now if you look at this, let us try to multiply this by this. What do you get? You get x squared. Multiply this by this. What do you get? It's plus 3. And then let's cross multiply. X multiplied by minus 1, it's minus x. X multiplied by minus 3, it's minus 3. Now you add them up. That gives you negative 4x. And when you rearrange them, you will find that that will be x squared minus 4x plus 3. And that gives you the initial equation. So guys, by doing this, you equate each and every factor to 0 and then solve for x. Our x will be 3, and then here x will be 1. And if you don't use factorization, you have to use quadratic formula. Now, the quadratic formula, this needs to be memorized, or you will get this on your formula sheet. So our A is 1, B is minus 4, and then C is 3. Now let's substitute. We substitute, that is minus into minus 4, then plus minus, square root, open bracket, minus 4 all squared, minus 4 into 1 into 3, and all over. Please don't forget, don't just start here. It's all over 2 into 1. Now, after substitution, guys, don't do other unnecessary steps in between. What you need to do is to punch your calculator, punch on your calculator as it is, and then make sure that all the signs are similar to what you wrote, and then the first x value will be 3 and the second x value will be 1, which is the same as in the first. Just look at that. They are similar. Now, triple check. Triple check. Don't just write and then submit your answer sheet without having checked. Now, on our left hand side, we are having x squared minus 4x then plus 3. Now, let's take our x. Our x is 3. Then let's substitute. That will be 3 squared, that is 9, minus 4 into 3, that is minus 12, then plus 3. This is minus 12. 9 plus 3 is 12, which is positive, minus 12, and that gives you 0. Now let's look at this. Our left hand side, the right hand side is 0. Fine. Now let's check the next one. Let's check with 1. If x is 1, if x is 1, what happens? It's 1 squared minus 4 into 1 plus 3. It's 1 minus 4, it's minus 3, and then plus 3, that is 0. Now they both give us the right hand side. Now guys, both of these are solutions. They are both solutions. Why? Because they satisfy the equation. Let us check at our equation. After having substituted on the left hand side, what do we get? We get 0, and that's it. So that is number 1.1. Yes, number 1.1. Now let us just move to another one. If you look at 1.1.2, that is 5x squared minus 5x plus 1. Solve for x. And this must be correct to 2 decimal places. Now, what does it tell you, guys? If it says correct to 2 decimal places, please don't factorize. There are no factors there. So what do you need to do? You need to use quadratic formula. So let us look at the solutions. Now, here we are, 1.1.2, that is our equation, and then we substitute. This is quadratic formula. After having substituted, our A is 5, B is minus 5, and then our C is 1. Then we substitute. After substitution, just ignore this. Guys, I wrote this deliberately to show you how we misuse our time. This is not important, guys. After having substituted here, move straight to the answer. Your x will be 0.72, and that is correct to 2 decimal places. And then you punch again, and then you will get x is equal to 2.76. Now, that's it, guys. That's it. Now, 1.1.3. When you look at 1.1.3, this is not an equation. It is an inequality. Now, how do we solve inequalities? The first thing is to follow these 3 steps. First, find the critical values by equating the equation to 0 and solve. Those x values are not the critical values. They are not the solutions because this is an inequality. That is the difference when you solve for an equation and an inequality. Right, now let's step into it. Yeah, here we are. The first thing that we do, this is greater than. What does it mean? It means that our solution, if it's greater than 0, it means that our solution must be positive. And this is the same as y. So we are going to focus on the positive part of y-axis. That means we are only going to focus above the x-axis, guys. That is on the sketch. Now, as I've told you, that the first thing to do is to find the critical values, that is CV in short, and then x squared minus that equals 0. You ignore this sign. This is very important for critical values. Now you ignore the sign and then put equal sign. Factorize x squared is x and x. Then the factors of 10, when subtracted, if it is negative, when subtracted, giving you 3, they are 5 and 2. And since this is negative, that means the signs should be different, and the bigger factor of 10 must take the sign of the middle term. Therefore, the bigger factor is minus 5, then it takes minus. And then the other factor will take the opposite side. That is why we have positive here. And then from here, we equate that to 0. We also equate this to 0. Then x equals 5, x equals 5. What do we have here? These are not solutions, but they are the critical values that are going to lead us to the solutions. So guys, the next thing is to draw the sketch. This is a parabola because this is a quadratic equation. If the highest exponent is 2, that is it's a quadratic equation. So, guys, what we need? We need the value here, that is A. It will show us our rough sketch. Our A is positive. Now that means our graph will be concave up. This is the behavior of our graph. Now, here are the critical values. It's minus 2, and then positive 5. Now, you draw that, and then we have said that our solution, it is concave up. The diagram is concave up because our A is positive. Now, according to this inequality sign, it tells us that we must concentrate, our solution lies above the y-axis. Look at this. Look at this. This is the y part of the y-axis, the positive part of the y-axis. Now, that is where if we have to get our solutions. Now, look at this. If you look at this, this is the graph defined by x squared minus 3x minus 10. Fine. Above is like this. Now, that means from the critical value, not from. The critical value will not be part of the solution since we don't have equal sign here. We don't have a line like that symbolizing equality. If we don't have that, we are going to have this diagram. Our diagram looks like this. our solution, this is the critical value, it's above, then it goes like this. Then from here, look, this is a blob or an open dot, né? And then our x value shifts like this. That is why the arrow goes like that. And then another part which is above the x-axis is this one. Here is our critical value, and then that is this portion. Look, our x is like that. That means our diagram, the solution, this will be the x-axis, and then the solution will be like this. Now, whenever you solve inequalities, don't just equate them or don't work them out like equations. You're going to get it wrong. So this is the solution. Fine. We are done now with question 1.1, and then we are moving to question, no. Oh my God. We are just left with another one. I forgot. That is 1.1.4. This is the easiest. If you look at that, that is 3 into the square root of that, and then equals x minus 4. Here's the solution, guys. What do you realize here? This is the square root sign. You need to undo the square root by squaring. So the solution lies in squaring both sides. Now, here we have this. When you square that, you're going to get 9x. And then when you square this, you square the first one is, I'm going to use shortcut, guys. You square x, that will give you x squared. And then you take this 2 multiplied by this term, multiplied by that. That will give you minus 8x. That is for the middle term, shortcut. And then you square the last term. If you square minus 4, that will give you positive 16. Now, this is positive. There is no need to take it there. We just take this to that other side, and then that is minus 9 minus that is minus 17. And then you have your x squared and your 16. Fine. Factorize. If you can't factorize, don't forget quadratic formula. Now, this is simple to factorize. You look for, if your a is 1, it's simple. Look for the factors of 16 when added together, giving you 17. Sorry. That will be 16 and 1. The sign here is positive. It tells you that the signs are the same, and that is the sign of the middle term. If this sign is positive, it will always give you like signs, and that sign should be the sign of the middle term. That will be minus 16 minus 16. Therefore, the x values will be equal to 16 and 1. But we are not yet sure whether these are the correct answers. What do we do next? You check, triple check, guys. Oh my God. You take the left-hand side, that will be 3. If at x is equal to 16, that will be 3 the square root of 16. The square root of 16 is 4. 4 times 3, that gives you 12. The right-hand side is x minus 4. That is 16 minus 4, that gives you 12. 12 is equal to 12. Therefore, that is a solution. Now, at x is equal to 1, that will be 3 the square root of 1. The square root of 1 is 1, then times 3 is 3. Then x minus 4, that is the right-hand side. X is 1, then minus 4. 1 minus 4 is minus 3. Look at this, guys. Look at this. It's 3 and minus 3. These are unidentical. The left hand side is that, the right hand side is that. They're different. Therefore, our equation is not balancing. Therefore, this is not a solution. Now, we will say x is equal to 16 is the only solution, guys. Now, this is how we do it. This is how we do it. Now, another one that I want us to do, guys, is this. We are now heading to simultaneous equation. Our simultaneous equation is like this. Let's go step by step. You have 3x minus y equals 2. That is equation number 1. And then 2y plus 9x squared equals negative 1. That is equation number 2. Now, what do? We always start from the simplest equation, that is linear. Linear is simple. Now, I look for this. X is having a numerical coefficient. Therefore, y is easy to find. You must look for the easiest variable to find. Now, I take this to that side, this to that side. This will be positive, and then this will be negative. That means we will be having y is equal to 3x minus 2, which is this. And that will be, we took it from equation 1, or y will be equal to 3x minus 2, which gives us equation number 3. Now, we used equation 1, and then we are left with equation number 2. Meaning, we are going to substitute what we got, which is equation number 3, into equation number 2. First, write equation number 2 like it is 2y plus 9x squared equals minus 1. So, what do we do next? Substitute, you replace. You replace what? You replace y by 3x minus 2. Here is y, 3x minus 2 is replaced, and then 9x squared plus 9x squared is equal to minus 1. Now multiply. That will be 6x minus 4 plus 9x squared. You take that to the side, that is, you transpose it to the side, it becomes positive, it changes. Then we are left with 0. Now collect like terms and then arrange them in descending order. That is 9x squared plus 6x, then what? Then plus 6x, then plus minus 3. Sorry, guys. Minus 3 is 9 plus that, then minus 3. Now, let us do this. This was a grievous mistake. Fine. Now, if you look at this, here is a common factor, guys. You take out that common factor. You just take that common factor. The common factor is 3 into 3x squared. That is 3 into 3x squared, then plus 2x, then minus 1 is equal to 0. Now from here, your 3 shall not be equal to 0. It's impossible. Now, but 3x squared plus 2x minus 1 equals 0. Now we factorize. That is 3x and then 1, then x, 1. This is negative. The bigger, okay, this is going to be 3. Then our plus must come here, and then our minus there, then that. Fine. Our x is equal to, you take that to that side is positive 1, and then we are going to divide by 3 because we undo multiplication. That is by division. Then x equals minus 1. Now, so this is our solution. This is our solution. Yeah, boy. Now, guys, This is how we tackle simultaneous equation. Make sure that you triple check. Don't just write things without being sure that they are correct. Now, another one that we need to do is this one. Now, on this question, normally that the last question is always a quiz. It's always a quiz. Now, how do we deal with that? The first thing that you need to do is use the two equations. That will be a simultaneous equation. And then after finding the simultaneous equation, the values of the variables, make sure that you take them and substitute them here. You are going to solve for the variables here and then substitute them there. So let us just recall what we did. Going back. We said when you deal with factorization, it's either you factorize, that is option number 1, or you use quadratic formula. Now, let us be careful, guys. If you are not cocksure with your factorization, use the quadratic formula. Because the question says solve for x. It does not tell you which method to use. So you are at liberty to use whatever method suitable for you. So that is that. Now the second is when you have a question like this and it says correct to 2 decimal places, make sure that you use quadratic formula. Now, for the next, this is inequality. For inequality, you know that you need these 3 steps. The first one is critical values. That is where you are going to equate this. You are going to ignore this sign and substitute it with equal sign, and then solve for x in order to get the critical values. Point number 2, you draw a rough sketch using your critical values. And then lastly, look at this sign. The inequality sign will give you the solutions of your graph. Either are they above or below. If it is greater than 0, it will be above the x-axis. But if it's less than 0, it will be below the x-axis. But another thing is, if for an example, okay, let us finish this. Then critical values, because this is not having an equal sign, it will be an open dot. It will be an open dot. But if it was having an equal sign here, we should have introduced something like that. You shade. We should have shaded the 2. This will be -2 and then 5. And then this could have been the solution, guys. Look, that is for this. But this one is for this only. Guys, you can see this. When you have this only, it's open. Even if it can can look backwards, can be backwards, you know that it must have an open dots. So guys, this is it. Now, as we have said, always make sure that you use USA. What is USA? USA is a method that I use. U stands for understanding, S for speed, and A for accuracy. That means what you need to do, you have to understand. You need to read the question clearly and understand it. And thereafter, make sure that you understand the method that you are going to use in order to find a solution. And then, when you do this, you must be fast. The speed that you're going to use must be increased. And then, when you use speed, you must also make sure that you are accurate. After using this, you must triple check. Make sure that you triple check. Never submit the answer sheet without having checked. Guys, I believe that this will give you a clue on how to get the 8%. Let us look at this, guys. This is 23 marks. Divide by 3. If you put it over 300 and multiply by 300, the two zeros cancels, the two zeros will be left with 3. You just divide 23 by 3. And that will give you 7.9 something. It will be close to 8. That means you are, if you miss this question, you have already lost 8%, guys. Just make sure that you don't lose that. From me, Dups De Genius, I would like to say, let us make sure that this September comes with good results so as to improve our school-based assessment, SBA. And with these words, I just want to say to you, thank you. Make sure that what you write is your true reflection. Thank you, thank you, thank you.